The exact moment a PSP released its full potential, a game that has nothing to envy of any fighting title of the time. The Budokai would leap to the portable market, and on March 7, 2006, Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai would arrive. It's been a while since the last chapter of the Budokai review series. It's time to go back with one of my favorite games on PSP, Shin Budokai. The title of this video has a question to answer. Is Shin Budokai better than we remember? This is a question that is answered in a pretty subjective way depending on the taste of each player. Although PlayStation 2's Budokai marked a unique and balanced fighting style during their first trilogy, from my perspective, I always felt a factor of absence. I couldn't help to think that it was missing something to consider the Budokai a more entertaining experience to play when I was trying to decide whether to play this or Def Jam. The point is that factor, the missing ingredient, was brought to me 2 years later by Shin Budokai on a platform that I would never have been able to anticipate, a portable console. The PSP would be Sony's first attempt to launch into the portable market, and with great success behind it. It also offered broad capabilities compared to some of its competition. In terms of hardware power, the combination of such power with the fighting style of the Budokai caused this game to be born. So let's see. The Dragon Path mode appears in front of us again, but this time it is a simple concept to chain combats around a story that we could call filler. The game describes it as an original story that takes place after the events of a movie, something that I did not enjoy that much at the time because I wanted to play the original story again, but on the PSP. Anyway, a few years later, the Tenkaichi Tag Team would give me that pleasure. However, even if they taken and compressed all the fights and mini encounters that we get to see in this movie, they would not fill up a decent story mode. The game takes care of linking those events with other filler fights so that it makes sense in some way. In a few words, you only advance as you fight in different chapters, and the more you advance, the more complicated things get. The fights are rising in difficulty and change opponents as you progress. With your progress, characters, objects, and transformations are unlocked. Some decisions must be made during the course of the story, but they do not have any important impact on development beyond giving you fights with different rivals along the path. However, it is important to complete them as they unlock new items in the shop and character transformations. Obviously, the graphic quality is considerably lower than Budokai 3. It is still a portable platform. That's why many expressions are null in the characters. You no longer see interactions with the scenarios, such as being able to cross mountains like before. But still, the game does a good job so that the Dragon Path is not tedious and annoying by giving you different options in each level. It doesn't make you use the same character more than 3 times in a row, and it gives variety to the fights, letting you use even villains. And believe me, if you played this as a kid, you wouldn't get bored with the gameplay of these fights. We will talk more in depth about that. Another success that Shin Budokai had was the excellent way of understanding what a potential public of this game was looking for: a well-balanced roster of characters, with iconic fighters and another new inclusion. Although we only have 18 characters, these are very well chosen, maybe missing some known faces, that's true. It is a little disappointing that the characters of Kid, Goten and Trunks are not playable, but they have participation in the story. They are not the most popular characters of all, but at least from my point of view, they are missing. At least Gotenks is there. They could not choose the roster in a better way, taking into account the limitations of the PSP. A cast of characters that offered the transformations, fusions, and special powers that fans wanted to see so much. Going back to the Dragon Path, from the 4th chapter the fights can get rough, so the combat system is more accelerated and you must always be alert. And here is a pretty favorable point in this game: the difficulty is well structured. You have already heard me talking about this in previous reviews, but when a developer takes his time and the work of programming a good difficulty system, it is noticeable. A large number of people think like, oh, a final boss, let's put little damage to the player and a lot of damage to the enemy. That's it. Things should not be like this. Dims understood this very well and exploiting the technical capacity of the small console. The PSP doesn't have much problems exposing frames and 3D models at high speed, a problem that others like the Nintendo DS had. Taking advantage of that, they managed to make scenarios with more difficulty. Enemies could be super aggressive and fast, and your reaction speed was key. If you tried to defend yourself a lot, the machine got you unblockable hits and engages constantly. If you attacked from distance, he could defer your attacks and even use them against you, stop your ultimates, and dodge your combos very well. This is a full difficulty structure. Going on to other game modes, they are typical like survival and a classic arcade. There is also a time trial mode where you unlock different scenarios and you must beat your rivals within the set time limit. Modes that fully exploited the virtues of this game. So what makes the Shin Budokai combat system so good? What else does it have that has not already been mentioned in the previous Budokai trilogy? Simple, they added what we needed and removed what wasn't necessary. This is a Budokai, so the fight format was already established. It is still the same, however, some added mechanics gave it a very special touch, something that distinguishes it from its PlayStation and GameCube versions. Added the key release mechanic to move much faster than in the past, an element that I thanked so much because I felt previously that mobility was only able to move with the speed established, and although this is a kinesthetic system well carried out by games like Mortal Kombat, being a Dragon Ball game, mobility didn't have to be so rigid, even more when by this point we had experienced things like the first Budokai Tenkaichi. So now with this, the battles were much more dynamic, with a more tense rhythm, and it looked spectacular. That was the missing ingredient. This move consumes ki while you have it active, but boosts your mobility exponentially. Also now all the combos of each character were in the list of skills from the first moment without having the need to unlock them, even the smallest combo. This allowed you to learn the most useful combos in the process while still playing the story. For example, if you could not see all the combos from the beginning and you had to play and complete all the game modes to be able to see and learn them, you don't have any new things to do to see what you have learned. This problem is not here. The ultimate can be activated at the moment you prefer, of course with the necessary amount of ki, without worrying about fitting a combo previously. They had a little animation and then activate it. It should be noted that some ultimates have special actions that activated during the animation to deal even more damage. Like every game, this has its cons. For example, the wave shocks were removed. It did not have any specific mechanics. If two key attacks collide simultaneously, only the one who had the most multi-hit persisted. As we mentioned before, the number of characters does not even reach 20, but if we count their transformations, since the moveset and special powers change slightly, we would be talking about 40 versions of characters. Talking about the transformations, a change that I have to admit I did not like at all was that you could choose only one transformation per character. You could not transform yourself consequently during the combat, at once you pass the state you selected in the menu. As you know, transforming in the middle of a combo here in Budokai, thanks to this change, the chaining of combos each time you transform is reduced to 1, which removes some ways to experience new combinations. Many things were missed, like other that not so much the sparking, the commands minigames and others. Obviously not all the content of Budokai 3 could be compressed into a portable version. Shin Budokai did very well by finding his own style without depending on what made the Budokai great on PS2 and GameCube. A fast, frenetic, dynamic, full of excitement fighting style that you could also enjoy with friends with the interconnection function. The closest thing to a true Dragon Ball experience on a portable console in those days. Time and again the developers at Dims continued to improve and did not give a rest to the run of success. So it was obvious that a sequel to this game had to come, and wow, they pretty much did it. Thanks for supporting the content of the channel in such a phenomenal way. You help me reach more people so that they join our community and share with us what we like the most about video games. Let me know in the comments what you think about this game. If you didn't play it, I hope it helped you, giving you a perspective on what this title was. Thank you very much for watching. That was all for today, and I'll be watching you in the next video. Take care and see ya.